welcome to Canada, India, USA Development Forum. Today is our session number 10 for the Health Forum. Today's topic is nutrition and healthy eating, especially during the pandemic. And the speaker today is Anisha Gupta. Before we introduce her formally, let us just take a quick moment to introduce the organization. Canada, India, USA Development Forum, or CIUDF, is an Ontario, Canada-based not-for-profit organization working to promote bilateral and trilateral relations between Canada, India, and USA. CIUDF organizes events, conferences, and speaker series lectures with prominent corporate and political leaders in all three countries for ideas exchange and knowledge sharing. The forum recently opened up for memberships, and 28 companies or professionals have joined as members so far, with the goal to raise the membership to about 300 or more by December 31st next year. And we also host several virtual member meetings. Myself, I am the founder, president, and CEO of Canada, India, USA Development Forum. And you can see more about our organization, the work we do on our website, which is Canada, India, USA Development Forum.com. So here are some of the activities that we normally do. We run a Canada, India Insight conference, which is a bilateral conference. We also host a Canada, India, USA trilateral conference. We host several business leaders and political leaders roundtables as well, with MPs, MPPs, and ministers. Several networking events, both virtual and in person. Now again, in person coming back after a long time, at least 18, 19 months. We do several constitutional roundtables as well. Run an education forum with Canadian colleges and universities all across Canada. The health forum, which we are conducting today, it's a 12-part virtual health forum, and today is our session number 10. We also have a Canada India Insight e-paper, and also host several webinars and virtual sessions on current affairs and issues of importance. Some of these activities are done in association with our media partner, Impact Media and Events Corporation. So before we begin, let us acknowledge and recognize our sponsors. So the Health Forum is supported by funded in part by the City of Brampton's Advanced Brampton Fund. We are thankful to our partner organizations, PCHS Foundation and Suno Canada. And the matching funding support is provided by Truly Financial, Irwin Accounting and Tax Services, Best Ayurved, Process Research or Tech, Nanak Flights, Dentistry on 10, Kotak Personal Injury Law, Tangentia, Cranes Life Sciences, Blue Umbrella, and Lotus Funeral and Cremation Center. Tejas Aivalli is our coordinator for this health forum. Let us now go ahead and introduce our speaker for today, Anisha Gupta. So Tejas, if you want to do the introduction, please.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Tejas, as Vipul said. So our speaker today is Anisha Gupta, who is the owner of Hello Nutrition. Anisha is a registered dietitian and nutrition coach. Anisha has a master's degree in dietetics and has been a dietitian for more than 8 years. She runs a successful private practice called Hello Nutrition, based right here in the GTA, but she serves clients from across Canada. Anisha's goal as a dietitian nutrition coach is to help individuals not only learn nutrition education, but help them implement it into their lives. Anisha takes a holistic anti-diet approach with her clients and focuses on creating sustainable lifestyle changes so that healthy eating is actually the easier choice. You can follow her on social media at her handles at hello.nutrition on Instagram, Hello Nutrition RD on Facebook, and Hello Nut RD on Twitter. So with that, Anisha, I will turn it over to you. I'll stop the screen sharing. All yours.
Hi, let me screen share myself, but hello everybody, nice to meet you. My name is Anisha Gupta, and I am a registered dietitian. So thank you so much for having me here today. And hold on. All right. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
So for the benefit of the viewers, we will now see a PowerPoint presentation from Anisha, which will be followed by a 15-minute long Q&A session as well. So go ahead, Anisha.
Thank you. So thank you so much for having me here today. I'm excited to speak to you. So yes, my name is Anisha Gupta. I'm a registered dietitian. And today we are going to be talking about nutrition during the pandemic. So first question I want to ask you is, how are you? And how are you doing today? How are you during the pandemic? And more importantly, how is your body feeling? So currently, is your tongue glued to the top of your mouth, to the roof of your mouth? Are you clenching your teeth? Are your shoulders up by your ears? Do you feel that your hands are clenched? These are all different signs of stress. And stress shows up in so many different ways. And I want to talk about stress as one of our topics today. But I want us to start recognizing that, yes, there is stress in our lives. And the pandemic has actually made that stress worse for most people. So the next question I have for you is, how would your life be different if you woke up feeling fresh and had energy to last the day? Would you be able to accomplish more in your day? Would you have more patience with your family members, your spouse? Would you be able to spend more time with your kids? Would you be happier? That's something I hear a lot of, is that people want to be feeling happier. And would you be able to enjoy more of what life has to offer? So the reason I'm saying this is nutrition and lifestyle plays such a huge role in how you feel, giving you energy throughout the day, helping you to feel your best and to live your days in the best of health. So nutrition is very important in our lives, and being present at this session today is a great start to you learning more about how we can actually take charge of our life and make a difference. Okay, so the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the impact of stress and management. We're going to talk a little bit more about working from home and how that's impacted us, how we can make some changes maybe to help ourselves, because I think that a lot of people will not be going back to work. So working from home may be a permanent situation for some. So we want to start thinking about long-term, how are we going to manage that? How are we going to help ourselves to be better with working from home? We're going to talk a little bit about emotional eating. We're going to talk about healthy eating and how we can simplify food intake to be something that does benefit us. We're going to talk about immunity, because COVID has sparked a lot of conversations about how we can help ourselves to not prevent COVID, because there's no nutritional foods that we can prevent COVID, but we can help ourselves that if we do get sick, maybe we can recover quickly, or maybe build ourselves a little bit of a thicker wall so that we don't get impacted quite so closely, potentially. And then my last topic that I want to talk to you about today is my personal top 10 weight loss strategies. One of the main things I hear from my new clients is, I've gained weight. I've gained weight in the last almost 2 years since we've been at home. So I want to give you some real strategies that you can help yourselves to maybe reduce your weight. All right. So first thing I want to talk about is stress. What is stress? So stress is a physical, emotional, or psychological reaction to a trigger. When we hear the word stress, we think that, oh, stress is bad. Stress is actually not bad. Stress is meant to be a survival technique, fight or flight. If we were in the jungle faced by a tiger, that's a stress reaction. And that fight or flight reaction is going to save our lives. We have to act quickly. So that stress goes up, but it's supposed to come back down. In today's day, the stress isn't coming down. We're at a higher level of stress, and that's become our new normal. And that is what we call chronic stress. It's a feeling of underlying overwhelm, feeling of stress, feeling of anxiety, feeling that you can't handle the situation, or you're barely above water. And that is a problem, and that impacts all parts of our body. What happened? Okay, so how does stress impact ourselves? How does it impact our body? So it really does impact all parts of our body. So our mental health, stress and worrying can lead to anxiety, depression, headaches, migraines for some. Hormonal imbalances can create irregular menstrual cycles. Blood sugar can be impacted. So stress can lower your blood sugar and it can also make your blood sugars higher. Chronic stress, we see uncontrolled blood sugar levels with those who are diabetic. Abdominal waist circumference. There is research that shows that people who have higher stress levels, higher cortisol is our stress hormone. People who have higher stress levels tend to have higher abdominal waist circumference, which is very interesting. Sleep. So when you're stressed out, people don't tend to sleep well. And when you don't sleep well, the next day, managing that stress becomes even harder. So there's a negative feedback loop related to being able to stress and sleep. And we want to try to manage that as best as we can. Emotional eating. A lot of people turn towards food as a way to cope with stress. And that is not always the best reason to eat. And it can impact your relationship with food, impact your relationship with your body, creating a negative effect. Inflammation. So I just talked about that fight or flight mode that activates, that doesn't seem to come down, but also we can experience digestive issues. A lot of people get bloating, constipation, diarrhea when it comes to stress. Skin issues, psoriasis, eczema, whole body inflammation. I see this a lot in my clients, that when people are stressed, you have so many other issues. Hair fall is also another issue that happens with chronic stress. So managing the stress, the point of this slide is I want you to understand stress is apparent. And even if you don't realize how stressed you are, maybe your body is trying to talk to you and you may be experiencing some of these symptoms. And I want us to start listening to what our bodies have to say. And then we can start change. So awareness precedes change. So we need to become aware of the situation before we can start to change that situation. So how can we manage stress? First thing, don't postpone happiness. So laugh, dance, do things that make you happy. Read a good book, spend time with a friend, FaceTime on the phone, maybe seeing someone in person, but spending time with others is great for our mental health. Learning something new, creating a new hobby, or finding something that you enjoy that can be a new hobby, that brings joy for us. Gratitude journaling, spend 10 minutes every morning thinking about 3 things that you're grateful for, write them down. That is a mindset shift that will automatically make you see things in a more positive light, bring down your stress levels. Social media. So this is a really interesting point that I have here, because I want you to start thinking about when you are scrolling through social media, how do you feel? When you're done with the phone, do you feel more relaxed or do you feel more agitated? For me personally, I usually feel a little bit more agitated. It doesn't relax my mind. Sometimes we go on our lunch break to, get away from work, but it doesn't actually serve as a means to de-stress. So think about doing other things, and social media being positive. So if you're following a lot of celebrities, and if those celebrities have ideal bodies, and looking at that makes you feel not so good about your current self, about your body shape, and makes you feel bad, that's not positive. Surround yourself with positivity. Maybe unfollow those accounts that are not making you feel good about yourself, and start following accounts that do. Motivational quotes, things that are actually going to better your life and your health and your stress, rather than creating more of a stressful situation for yourself. Focus on your health. So finding movement that you enjoy. We are focused, for me, on my clients, I focus on long-term sustainable results. So running on the treadmill and hating it, that's not going to create sustainability. Find an activity that you actually enjoy, and that's going to release happy hormones. Eating well-balanced meals. So nutrition plays a huge role in how you feel, your energy levels, your happiness, all of that is connected. So eating well-balanced meals, 3 meals a day, maybe 1 to 2 snacks, everybody's different, can really help sustain your energy levels throughout the day and reduce your stress levels. Taking a mental break. So if this is just checking out for 10 minutes, lying down on the floor for 10 minutes, doing some yoga, doing some meditation, doing something that just gives you a break from your stressful situation, that is also very helpful. Having enough water. So water does help with you being able to manage life a little bit better. So drinking and hydrating yourself is important. Meet with other professionals. So I put this in here because if you are struggling, if you have some sort of pain, I want you to take action on that. See a chiropractor, a physiotherapist, a naturopath, a psychologist if you need to. Talk to a dietitian. All of these different professions and so many more. We have skills, we have knowledge, we've gone to school for things. We want to help you. And when you as an individual can go and seek help, you're learning skills, you're helping yourself be more efficient in your life and reduce the stress, the challenges that you may be having by learning these skills. So seek help and then ask help from others. So what I mean by this is if you're feeling overwhelmed in your day-to-day life, don't be shy, ask a friend, a neighbor, sibling to help you out in some way, shape, or form. And that can really help reduce your stress. Third thing is make quality sleep a priority. So create a consistent bedtime routine. It's not, oh, I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock today, but tomorrow I'm going to be going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Your body thrives with consistency. So if we can have a regular bedtime routine, that is really important to helping manage your stress. Journaling. So at nighttime, if you decide to write in a journal, I think it's a really great idea to really help clear your mind. And when your mind is not feeling so stressed, when you kind of feel like you poured your heart out onto a piece of paper, that can be really calming and help you get better quality sleep. Limiting screen time before bed. So screen time, research has shown ideally 2 hours of no screen time is what is required for us to not being impacted, for our sleep not to be impacted by the screens. So start off with half an hour, no screen time, TV, laptop, iPad, phones, no screen time. Do relaxing activities instead. And for my clients, I have seen a change in just with half an hour, they have seen a difference in their sleep quality. So try that out, see for yourself. It is difficult. I know it's difficult, but just do your best and monitor results. When you start seeing the results and you can actually recognize that, hey, I am waking up more fresh in the morning. I am able to fall asleep faster when I'm not looking at my screen. That is powerful. And that is your motivation to keep going with it. Caffeine intake. So caffeine can sit in our system for 8 to 10 hours, and caffeine can impact our quality of sleep. So try not to have caffeinated beverages 2 p.m. and onwards for most people. And that can help positively give you better sleep. Sleep apnea. So many people have told me that they have sleep apnea. They've been clinically diagnosed. They have a CPAP machine, but they're not using it. If you are snoring, one, go and get tested for sleep apnea. If you have a sleep apnea, use your CPAP machine or get it fixed if it needs to be fixed. I know it's uncomfortable, but what that means is your body is not getting enough oxygen. You're not getting good restful sleep because your body is struggling while you're sleeping and you wake up tired. And that's just creating a ripple effect throughout the rest of your day. So take care of your sleep, do what you need to do to get the best quality of sleep you possibly can, make it one of your top priorities. And you will see that your life is so much easier. You're so much happier. You're so much more capable of doing amazing things in your day because you're sleeping properly. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about working from home and how that has impacted us. So first of all, we are eating way more from home. We've been told to eat more from home for a little while when restaurants were closed and we had to go grocery shopping. So we have been eating, our grocery bills have been higher. The problem with working from home is a lot of people may be working very close to their kitchens or just have easy access to your kitchen. So could be a lot of food and snacks, more than what we would normally eat if we were out and about going to work. And that has impacted our waistlines. A lot of people are telling me that, yes, I've gained weight during the pandemic. Less movement. So our physical activities have significantly decreased. So we're not moving as much. That is also contributing to our waistlines. Extended work hours. So a lot of people are telling me that they don't have strict 9 to 5 type of hours anymore. They're logging back in later in the day to be able to finish off the work that they weren't able to complete in the day, or to get ahead for the next day because it's that easy access to your computer. And that is impacting the use of screen time. So screen time has increased, impacting your sleep, your stress, your mental health. Also, just talking about the screen time, there's a lot more Netflix because we're home longer. So there's a lot more TV watching happening. And that's impacting your sleep now, because we just talked about screen time related to sleep. And then social isolation. So us humans, we are naturally social beings and we don't do well in isolation. And that is impacting us. It's making us feel all sorts of ways and sadness and boredom. And we're not thriving, in being at home and not being able to talk to people. But there are a couple of things that we can do to help ourselves nutritionally. So I'm going to focus on the nutrition aspects. But what can we do to help ourselves with the food intake portion of this? Pack your lunch. So I find when, and clients have told me this too, of people who are cohorting back to work. So there's some days at work, some days not at work during the week, that the days that they are at work, or they know they're going to work, they pack their lunch properly. They are more prepared for the days ahead because they know they're going to be busy. When they're working from home, they're a lot more lax and like, oh, I'll just make a lunch on my lunch break. Well, that doesn't always give you enough opportunity, or you don't end up making the healthiest type of a lunch because it's something that you need to do quickly. You're limited in your time and you're not pre-planning it. So pack your lunch ahead of time, leave it in your fridge. Helps reduce the stress throughout the day. Number 2, create a meal plan and a grocery list. So when you have a plan, you are much more likely to stick to healthy eating. It's not, oh my gosh, what are we going to make for dinner? What are we going to make for dinner? That is everybody's thought every day, and it sticks with you. Try planning it out. Do a loose schedule of what your dinners are going to look like. And you'll see that your stress for what are we going to make for dinner today, that goes away. And it doesn't have to be exact every single day. It's okay if things, something comes up and you end up ordering in, that's okay, no problem. But at least you have a plan. And from that plan, you make a grocery list. So that helps you to not just wander the aisles and think, oh, what do we need this week? What do we need? You're actually buying things that you are planning on making. So helps reduce your grocery bill, but also keeps you from wandering into the snack aisles and just ending up with random things that you may not be using. Make it harder for yourself to munch. So like I was saying, that we're very close to our kitchens now, and there's abundance of food, usually privileged. We have a privileged amount of food, and we're easily munching on things. And we'll talk a little bit more about emotional eating, which has to do with why we are munching as well. But make it harder for yourself. So the foods that you may normally gravitate towards, if they are in your home, because we are not just living by ourselves, usually we're living with others. So we have to take into the our families or other roommates and such into consideration. Put the snacks at the top shelf. So you really have to put an effort to go get them. You can put them, if you have a basement, put your munching type of foods, if you find that you're doing it too often, put them in the basement or the trunk of your car even. Make it a little bit difficult to get to. Don't sit at your desk with the bag of chips. Portion it out into your bowl, however much you plan on eating. Put that bag away, back into the cupboard, back into the pantry, wherever it may be, so that you are making it harder for you to get the second helping. And if you really want that second helping, then you'll go to get it. But it helps just manage your portion sizes a little bit more and help you really think about how much you're eating and why you're choosing to eat. Okay, so prepare easy and healthy snacks ahead of time. So this may be pre-portioning or pre-cutting an apple. Pre-portioning nuts into smaller containers so it's easy to grab and go, and thinking about these healthy snacks, because convenience foods are usually opening a granola bar, opening a bag of chips. These are easy for us to do. Cutting an apple is washing the apple, cutting the apple. So think ahead of time, do those tasks ahead of time so that in the moment you have very little reason not to eat that apple. Another thing that you may consider is take your fruits out of in the crisper drawers, take them out and put them on your main shelf in the fridge. So when you open your fridge, that's what you see. And it will make you more likely to actually go ahead and eat them. The fruits, vegetables, the foods that you really do want to have a little bit more of. It was Diwali recently, so maybe put your mithai in that bottom drawer so that we're not eating that as the first thing we open in our fridge. But just think visually, what you see is what you're probably going to go for. And the other thing is, along with that, don't keep these kind of snacks on the counter. If they're on the counter, easy to see them, you're going to gravitate towards them more. So put them away. So they're out of sight, out of mind. Okay, movement. So being at home, we are not moving enough. NEAT exercise. NEAT stands for not, I forgot what the N stands for. Non-exercise activity thermogenics. That's what it is. Non-exercise activity thermogenics. And what this means is that there's been some research done. People who move throughout the day have better health generally than people who sit all day and dedicate a designated half an hour to exercise. So moving throughout the day is very beneficial for your health. So work that into your work routine, maybe on the hour, every hour. Get up, take a 5-minute walk, move away from the computer, move away from the screen, go outside if you can go outside. The weather is getting a little bit cooler, but still, we have winter jackets. privileged if we have winter jackets, but yes, put those on, get outside, get some fresh air, change that scene, do some jumping jacks, lunges, crunches, get your blood flowing in different ways, and try to do that throughout the day. And then again, being mindful of our screen time. So think about reducing that screen time as much as we can. Maybe be a little bit more strict with yourself. If you're finding you're getting stressed out with your work hours being all over the place, be strict with yourself and say, okay, 5 o'clock, hard stop. Like, we're not going to go back on our screens. We're going to take charge of our own health, and think about how that's impacting you. And even just like late night TV watching, because you don't have to drive to work tomorrow. So people end up watching TV later because you know that you can do that. But again, that impacts our quality of sleep, which impacts our level of stress. So think about that as a potential way to reduce your stress as well. Okay, so why do we eat? So usually I ask this question and I get answers as well before I give answers as to why we eat. There are so many reasons why we eat. So we eat out of sadness, loneliness, happiness, taste, routine, boredom, celebration, happy reasons. We eat out of nutrition. We eat because we're hungry. That's generally the first thing that comes to mind, but we eat because we want a certain taste in our mouth, for example. So there's so many reasons to eat. And different reasons will lead to different results. So I have bolded, I don't know if you can tell, but there's 3 that I've particularly bolded. So sad or loneliness, boredom, and stress. And I've bolded these 3 in particular because these relate more so with the pandemic. I'm finding that a lot more people are eating for these 3 reasons because of being at home, isolation, work from home situation, all of that. Okay, so there are 3 types of hunger. So all of those reasons why we eat can be classified into 3 different types of hunger. So the first is mouth hunger. So mouth hunger is us craving a particular taste. So that could be sweet, that could be salty, that could be crunchy. Sometimes you just want that particular taste in your mouth, and that is considered mouth hunger. Heart hunger. Heart hunger is where we see a little bit more of the emotional eating. So it could be stress eating, it could be sadness, it could be loneliness, it could be boredom, it could be happiness as well. Birthday parties, wanting to eat the cake, absolutely. So that could be heart hunger. Stomach hunger is our actual physical need to eat. So this could be, yeah, I'm hungry, my stomach is rumbling. It could be dips in your blood sugar for someone who's diabetic. It could be, I need to take a medication and I need to eat because I need to eat with my medication. So stomach hunger is another type of hunger reason why we eat. Majority of the time, I want to say 80% of the time, the reasons why we eat are normally heart hunger. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but eating because of stress, because of boredom, because of sadness, not really the best reasons for eating. The first step is to identify your habits. So are you eating because of stress? Are you eating because you're bored? And if we take stress, for example, people who eat because they're stressed out, if you've ever noticed, it doesn't help reduce your stress. It's a comfort that you're trying to comfort yourself, but eating because you're stressed out doesn't actually help reduce your stress. So it's not doing anything for you to help relieve that pain that you're in. What might be better is think about what can you do? If you start recognizing, yes, I'm stressed and that's why I want to eat those chips, start thinking about what else can I actually do that's going to help me reduce my stress? Whether it's go for a walk, read a book, take a bath, meditate, do some yoga. These are actual activities that are going to help reduce your stress. Same thing with boredom. If you're eating because you're bored, that's not really the best reason to be eating. Find a different activity that's going to help relieve your boredom. That is going to be something that's productive. So first thing, recognize what's happening, why you're turning towards these foods. Start listening to your body, listening to your emotions, and see if there's a trend. And then create a list for yourself. What are some other activities that I could do instead of turning towards food? Tape that list onto your pantry. So if you are in the midst of going to your pantry, it makes you think twice. Okay, what am I feeling right now? How are my emotions? Is this a good reason to eat? If it is, cool, go ahead. But if it's not, that it can deter you and make you do something else, which might actually be productive for you. Okay, understanding nutrition. So I want you to think about what can we add in, meaning that in my practice, I do not how can I say this? So I believe in all foods fit into a healthy lifestyle. So this means that I do not take foods away from my clients. I don't tell them that you can no longer eat cultural foods. I don't tell them you can't eat chocolates and chips and cakes and cookies and all of that, because there's so much value with eating these types of foods, and we want to have a positive relationship with food. So the way I get my clients to think is think about how can we make the foods that you're currently eating healthier? How can we add nutritional value into your life? We're not taking things away, but think about how can we add nutrition in. Okay. So this is Canada's food guide for healthy eating. And this is an example of what your plate could look like. You'll see here, there's a lot of color here. You see that half your plate is filled with fruits and vegetables. You'll notice that there's more vegetables there than there is fruits, because we want to have more vegetables than we do fruits in our day. 1/4 of our plate is protein. So we see eggs, we see beans, we see lentils, we see nuts and seeds. Meat is there as well. Dairy foods are also there. So these are all wonderful sources of protein. This food guide has a lot more sources of plant-based proteins. There's now a greater push to have more plant-based proteins in our life, because there's so much good nutrition in them. Beans and lentils, tofu, edamame, which are soybeans, nuts and seeds as well, lots of good nutrition there. So we want to include protein with each of our main meals. So that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Whole grains, 1/4 of our plate is filled with grains. So this is carbs. People classify this food group as carbs, which is actually incorrect. We want to say grains for this food group. And we want it to be whole grains. Whole grains means that there is more fiber. Fiber keeps us full for a longer period of time, helps with managing heart disease, helps with managing your blood sugars, helps with weight loss as well. Because if you eat brown rice compared to white rice, for example, brown rice is going to keep you full longer, and you won't need to eat as much to get that same level of fullness. So it helps manage your intake, and your portion size is better as well. With your protein foods, we want to have protein with each of our main meals, because that also keeps us full for a longer period of time. So think about if you're getting hungry an hour or two after your meals, did you include protein with that meal? Maybe you didn't. And see, if you do start including protein with your meals, how do you feel? Do you feel more energized? Do you feel full for a longer period of time? Water, we want to choose water over other drinks like pop and juices as our main choice of a beverage. Okay, rather than juice, I prefer that you eat fruit, because if you think about it, 1 glass of orange juice, you probably have to squeeze out 4 or 5 oranges to get that glass of orange juice. And that is the sugar from 4 or 5 oranges. It's almost the equivalent of eating 4 or 5 oranges minus the fiber. So eat an orange, you'll get more satisfaction, you'll get more fiber, and that orange is going to be so much better for your blood sugars rather than drinking that glass of orange juice. Okay, and I want you to think different foods have different nutrients. Different colored fruits and vegetables have different nutrients. So the greater variety that you can have, rainbow of colors of fruits and vegetables, the more variety of nutrients you are giving your body. And nutrients are those building blocks to have a healthy body. Okay, so let's go into foods for immune support. So this has to do a little bit more with immunity. So again, there's no food that I can suggest that is known at this point in time that will prevent COVID, but we want to be in the best health so that if we get sick, COVID or any other kind of illness, we have the defenses to help ourselves recover, hopefully faster. Okay, so omega-3s are really, really important in heart health as well. Fatty fish, avocados, flax seeds, etc. There's so many other foods there that are great sources of omega-3s. Vitamin C is an antioxidant found in tons of different foods. You don't necessarily need to take a supplement if you're getting a variety of different foods in your diet. So citrus fruits are usually the #1 thing people think of, but there's some vegetables such as tomatoes, red peppers, and spinach, which are also great sources of vitamin C. Probiotics. So probiotics are the food required. So these foods here that are high in probiotics help our gut bacteria. So our stomach is one of the first lines of defense. When we eat foods, our stomach neutralizes it. We have stomach acid to help kill bacteria so we don't get sick. our intestines are filled with good bacteria to help us digest and to keep us well. So we want to feed that good bacteria with good food, which is probiotics. Probiotics is a food to help populate that good bacteria in our gut. So things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, these are all great sources of probiotics that can help have a happy tummy. Vitamin E is another antioxidant. So almonds, sunflower seeds, and there's so many other foods that have tons of different antioxidants as well, which include garlic and ginger and turmeric, green tea, dark chocolate, sweet potatoes. There's tons of foods out there. So general thought, variety. Again, going back to variety. If we can have a variety of different foods, we're getting lots of different nutrients, and we want to think about colors. If you notice, a lot of these foods have colors. They're all different types of colors. So think on your plate, can I get 3 different colors of foods on my plate when I'm eating? And that is just that simple thought can really help you create that variety and get you more, a greater variety of nutrients, really. Okay, so last thing that we want to talk about today, weight loss tips. So again, I know that a lot of us have gained some weight over the pandemic just based on current situation. And these are my top 10 tips that I can give you as a general guide to help you really reduce your weight if we need to. So first things first, ditch the diet mentality. Diets do not work. What happens is you restrict your calories, you restrict your food intake, you get tired of doing that, and then you end up eating your regular foods and you end up regaining the weight. So even if you lost weight during the diet, you will end up regaining it when you eat the regular foods that you're eating. So it's not creating that sustainable lifestyle. You haven't learned how to eat the regular foods that you're eating so that they can support your new weight. And people end up dieting again and again and again and going on these yo-yos. And over time, people see weight goes up. It's not going down, it's actually going up, and it's damaging your body, damaging your metabolism. So forget the diets. Don't do any diets because diets don't work. But instead, think about how can we incorporate healthy eating, movement, some of these other things that I'm going to talk about. Number 2, make sleep a priority. We've talked about sleep today, and sleep really can impact your ability. For example, if you sleep better, you have more energy the next day. You are much more likely to make a meal from home and not order in. Right? And anything you make from home is going to be healthier than if you were to get that same thing outside because you're in control of the ingredients. You know exactly what's going into it. Number 3, eat your vegetables. So what I see mostly from my clients is people are not eating enough vegetables. So we want to try to up that vegetable intake. Again, lots of vitamins and nutrients, very low in calories, but give you lots of fiber and keep you full for a longer period of time. Number 4, eat breakfast within 2 hours of waking. So when we eat breakfast within 2 hours of waking, we are kickstarting our metabolism. All night, we have not been eating. So when we wake up, we are hungry. We are low energy. We want to replenish that energy stores. And that's going to give you greater energy throughout the day. And I've noticed, and there's research that shows this as well, is if you don't eat enough in the day, guess what? At nighttime, you're going to be ravenous and you are going to be eating a lot. I've seen this. People eat quickly. People end up, even though you've had your dinner, you're still hungry. You're still hungry. And you end up snacking on so many different things. And when we start to schedule meals accordingly throughout the day, people suddenly have so much better control of what they're eating at the end of the day. And it's beautiful. Hydrate before you dehydrate. So water, most people are not drinking enough water. Water should be our primary drink of choice. And you can flavor your water. I don't have any problem with that. Put some lemon or berries or cucumbers or whatever you'd like. I promote natural, closer to the ground rather than something that's made through factories and chemicals. But yeah, put some berries or something else in your water to make it more interesting should you need to. But generally, we need about 2 to 3 liters of water per day. Find movement that you enjoy. So again, thinking long-term sustainable movement in exercise. So find something that you actually enjoy so that you will want to do it for the rest of your life. So I want you to have the mindset of, I'm going to be moving for my good health, not for weight loss, but for my good health for the rest of my life. And the byproduct of that is, yes, it will help with you managing your weight a little bit better, but we want to find movement that we enjoy. Bring stress to a minimum. So do your best to help yourself reduce stress. So we talked about it a little bit earlier, but people who have higher stress levels, higher cortisol levels, tend to have higher abdominal waist circumference. So let's do our best to reduce that level of stress, and that will really help us with our weight loss as well. Include protein with each of our meals. So protein keeps us full for a longer period of time. And that helps managing our intake, managing our sugar cravings. Really, really important there. Number 9, eat off of an 8-inch plate. So we're very visual. If we have a larger plate, our eyes, we end up eating more. So eating off of an 8-inch plate helps to control your portion sizes a little bit better. And number 10, be patient. We live in a world where everything happens like this. Amazon orders come to our door within 2 days. We can pre-order our fast food through an app so that when we get to the fast food restaurant, it gets to us faster. We are used to things happening very quickly. But when it comes to weight loss, we want to be realistic and we want to take it slower to give our body time to adjust. Diets we try to trick our body into, I want to lose weight fast. I want to make things happen faster. It doesn't work out in the long run. Taking your time, doing it properly, undoing the years and years of damage that may have been done through the dieting world, and learning to create those sustainable habits. And we're talking habits. Habits don't happen like this. That really will benefit you to lose weight, but to keep it off. That's the main thing. Is we want to keep it off for the rest of our life. Make it sustainable. So please be patient. All right. So that's it. Thank you so much. And I would like to open up for questions now, I think, right? Okay. Shall I stop?
Yeah.
Should I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Unless you have something more, in the presentation.
No, that's it. Did it stop sharing?
No.
No, we can still see.
You have to click stop sharing. It's that red colored thing. There should be a floating bar.
Oh, yeah. I see it. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Anisha, for that. Some of those items, that you showed that we should eat, red peppers, tomatoes, that made me feel like ordering a pizza today.
Do it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. So good. I mean, all right. So let's have a brief Q&A session, and I have a few questions of my own. Although you have touched upon a couple of things, but I will ask the question anyway. The first one is, any impact of the pandemic on people's food habits that you have noticed? Not just that people are eating more. I mean, almost all the grocery chains' profits have gone up significantly last year. So obviously people are definitely eating much more than they were pre-pandemic. But what kind of food they eat? I mean, do you see a change, a difference in that? More comfort food, more oil, more fatty food?
Yeah, so I think the grocery chain profits may have gone up more so because restaurants were closed. So normally we end up spending a lot of money on takeout and eating out. And especially during the beginning of the pandemic, when there was that lockdown, we weren't spending that money at restaurants. So we were buying more foods at the grocery store. So I think that contributed somewhat to that. I know in the beginning of the pandemic, people were baking a little bit more and taking that opportunity to learn. But in terms of how people have been eating, I haven't noticed too much in the sense of like people who like of our culture are still eating our Indian foods. You're still eating, like if you eat normally 2 rotis or 3 rotis, you're still eating 2 to 3 rotis. Like that part hasn't changed. I think maybe the snacking and the excessive just easy access to food has changed. So the snacking aspect, people are probably snacking more now. And I think the movement has really impacted why people have gained weight during the pandemic. So I don't think that necessarily the variety of foods has changed. And people are just now, yes, people are making more foods from home, but the lack of activity, easy access to snacks, I think those are the big things that have really impacted waistlines.
Sure. The next one is any specific food that can make you happy and healthy, because I mean, those things that you're not supposed to eat, they are the ones that usually make you happy, popcorns and burgers and whatnot, ice creams and chocolates, and all those things are not really good for you. I mean, not too much for sure, but that's what people used to eat. when they're stressed or when they're overworked or when they have nothing else to do, and when
Yes.
they are watching Netflix and Amazon Prime and whatnot. So are there any specific foods that can make you happy as well as healthy at the same time?
So there isn't any real specific foods that have strong evidence that will make you happy per se, but recognizing how you feel, like if you were to eat a lot of chips or a lot of chocolate, for example, if you start recognizing how you feel afterwards compared to how you feel if you were to eat fruits in the day, when you start eating healthier, you start noticing that you do feel more energetic, and that in itself brings happiness to you. So there's no particular foods that I would say eat this and you'll be happier. None of that really does exist. But in terms of health, think about variety. So thinking about variety, thinking about colors, and honestly thinking about how does food actually make you feel? When you have a well-balanced meal, how do you feel afterwards? And how do you feel 2 hours afterwards? And thinking about that and recognizing that all foods fit. So when we think about, oh my gosh, good foods and bad foods, I don't talk about that. I don't use those language. I don't use that language. And my clients know this, that junk foods, bad foods, cheat days, we don't use that kind of language because it makes you think that you're doing something wrong, which creates guilt, which makes you want to eat emotionally even more. So remove these terms from your language, because cheat days, cheating on your wife, cheating on your test, it's not a good thing. Cheating on your diet is not a good thing, but it makes you feel bad. And then it creates a negative relationship with food. So when you take into account that the mindset of all foods fit, that I can have ice cream and chocolate whenever I want, and you start listening to your body and listening to your own body's cravings for these types of foods, that's when you start recognizing that, yes, I can eat this tomorrow. Like okay, I'm having cake, but I can have it again tomorrow should I feel like it. And then you don't feel like I need to eat the biggest slice of the cake because this is my one opportunity to eat this cake, and then I'm not allowed to anymore. So creating that positive relationship with food helps reduce that emotional eating and that relationship. And again, like you were saying, like I said earlier, with the stress and boredom eating, starting to recognize that, yes, you're turning towards foods first for stress management and comfort, but that's not actually helping reduce your stress, and thinking about other activities that might be more beneficial. That's a really key point in changing that mindset, so that you are not eating because of boredom or stress, and you're actually eating because, yeah, you actually feel like having chips, and it's not just I'm just bored because I'm bored and I need to eat chips.
Right. Any specific suggestions for, in terms of diet and nutrition for two categories of people with diabetes and vegetarian people?
Okay, so with diabetics, that plate method that I showed, that's really important, because you'll see that it limits, not limits, but you're eating a more portion controlled version. So vegetables generally don't increase your blood sugar very much. And because we're not eating enough vegetables, we eat a lot more rice and roti. So for example, if you're having like rajma and chawal on your plate, which is rice and kidney beans, you'll put a whole bunch of rice, you'll put a whole bunch of kidney beans on top, and you'll have 2 slices of cucumber. You're getting a certain level of fullness there, but you could also change that and have a little bit less rice, have still your kidney beans there, your rajma. But now if we also have vegetables, you're still getting that same level of fullness, but now you're not putting as much carbs, the rice portion, which is going to increase your blood sugar. We're now controlling that a little bit better. So you're still getting fullness, but now you're getting greater variety. You're going to feel better afterwards. Your blood sugars are going to be better managed. So that plate method that I showed also works really well for diabetics. So being mindful, and again, just thinking, can I get color on my plate? Can I get more vegetables on my plate? That is a great way to help manage blood sugars a little bit better. And then same thing with vegetarian eating as well, that relates. And now usually the biggest problem with vegetarians, people feel, is the protein, getting enough protein in. And there's a big push towards, the fitness industry has really pushed, oh, we need more protein and protein and protein. And people end up actually eating more protein than they need. And with protein bars and protein shakes, and long term, that could be damaging to our kidneys and our liver. We have yet to see that. It can happen. It can be a potential problem in our future. But in terms of vegetarian protein sources, we have tons of options. All of our beans and lentils are great sources of protein. All of our dairy foods, cottage cheese, paneer, dahi, yogurts, Greek yogurt, all of these are great sources of protein. And then we have tofu. So if we're not familiar with tofu, experiment a little bit with tofu. Instead of paneer in a dish, you could be using tofu. I've done that. You could do 50-50 even, and that will really help increase your protein content. So paneer also has protein in it, but paneer is a little bit higher in fat. So tofu has protein, but is lower in fat. And tofu takes on the flavor of whatever sauce you put it in. So it could be palak paneer, shahi paneer. Try adding some tofu in and see how you feel about it. And that makes that dish a little bit healthier. So, and then nuts and seeds are also great sources of protein as well. So there's lots of variety in terms of vegetarian protein, but we do need to plan a little bit more accordingly because it takes time to make beans and lentils. Could be something simple like a bean salad. Make a bean salad on a Sunday that can add to a little bit of protein throughout the week.
Okay. The next one is, I don't know how much truth to this, but I have read some articles, some reports, etc. on social media also, that more and more people are now moving away from meat for a variety of reasons, maybe for some carbon emissions, as they say, the meat plants produce a lot of emissions. So that is one reason. The other is the pandemic has opened eyes to a lot of people, to avoid eating meat. So for a variety of reasons. So I mean, how much truth is in there, or is it more like wishful thinking?
No, it's actually very true that a lot more people are more aware. So us being South Asians, we've always had beans and lentils in our diet. It's been a staple, and that's always been us. But people that are not in our culture, a lot of them didn't grow up with beans and lentils. So us being here, for one, we have an abundance of cultural foods available to us. So a lot more people are more now exposed to our South Asian cuisines, which include dals and beans and lentils cooked in different ways. But yes, there is definitely more of a push, like even through that food guide. If you compare this current food guide to ones in the past, previously was a lot more meat-based. European diets are a lot more meat-based, and original settlers here came from Europe area. So now people are becoming more aware of what the benefits are of beans and lentils. There's a lot more research being done. There's a lot more fiber in them. And a lot of people, because of online now, there's a lot of, what are they called? Food bloggers that are creating a lot more versatile recipes. So it's not just our Indian taste. You don't just have beans and lentils with our Indian curries now. There's tons of different foods like tacos you can make with lentils. So having that variety, and yes, Health Canada's definitely recognized that beans and lentils are very important in terms of good health. That pushes there. So dietitians are now aware. So dietitians of all cultures, not just us South Asian dietitians, but all cultures are now aware that yes, we should promote a little bit more beans and lentils because they are good for our health. So it's coming from lots of different areas. And yes, people as individuals may be choosing to make that choice personally, but from a health perspective, yes, there is lots of benefits. So for me, I promote beans and lentils to all of my clients, regardless of culture. Especially those who are not familiar quite so much, I send recipes out to show them that, yeah, there is other beans and lentil recipes that you can have, and they're not as hard to make. People are unfamiliar because they don't know how to cook them, but cooking shows as well, they're all incorporating more beans and lentils, and that's really helping.
Okay, so I have a couple more questions, but before that, Tejas, do you have anything you want to ask?
Yes, I do. I have 3 at least. So Anisha, first off, thanks for a great presentation. Really informative. Appreciate that. One question that the first one I have is, and this is sort of related to what Vipul had also asked, talking about the impact on waistlines. And I have a particular angle on this. So, typically among the Indo-Canadian or the South Asian population, we have this phenomena of skinny fat, where the individual looks skinny or at least healthy, but their their waist is actually significant. It's sort of whatever is that, I think the 35-inch limit that beyond which it's a danger sign. So like I mean, I had that sort of related experience. Like, I apparently lost weight, but my pants are still as tight as before. So, so it's how does what impact, if at all, can diet play on that, and how do you address that issue through diet?
Good question. So there could be a couple of different things happening there. One could be bloating. There could be some bloating, stomach discomfort, other things going on in the digestive system that are making it appear to be a little bit bigger. Other things could be just the stress. Like stress can impact your waistline. So I've noticed, and I've done this with clients as well, is when we start looking at our stress, managing our stress a little bit better, waistline tends to come down, even if we're not making too many other changes. So stress could be an impact. Other thing is sitting down. We're sitting down all the time and we're not really using those abdominal muscles quite so much. So I think that also our body gets formed in that kind of way because we're sitting down and our stomach starts to bulge a little and we're not necessarily using those side muscles, the abdominal muscles, to kind of pull everything in. So that could also be related to that. And the other thing is, throughout a weight loss journey, we don't get to control, people cannot control where they lose weight. So some people may lose weight more so in certain areas in the beginning versus other areas. It's not something that you control. I can't wish for my stomach to just go in. It doesn't work that way. Some people do say that to me, like, I just want a flat stomach. I'm okay with everything else. I just want a flat stomach. Like, I can't really do that. I'm not a magician. Everybody's body functions differently. So it may just be that you're kind of on that weight loss journey where you've lost it in other places, but hasn't really hit your stomach quite so much yet.
Okay, that's interesting. The second one I had was you mentioned the Canada Food Guide, and something that at least growing up in India, you get seasonality in vegetables and fruits, right? Like you may crave mango year round, can't really do that. You wait for summer and then you get it, right? And you enjoy it then. So, but I haven't studied the Canada Food Guide in depth, and I don't think it does address the seasonality part very much. So is it that we have to make an effort to incorporate seasonality in our diets, or are there some other factors that we can use to bring seasonality, and what impact does that have on our diets?
Good question. So yeah, absolutely. So again, going back to variety, so different foods, different nutrition, but we don't always get to have, like you're saying, all foods all season. Here in Canada, we're a little bit more fortunate because you can get mangoes all year round now. But I know that we're privileged to be here to be able to have that. But again, yes, absolutely. And different foods do taste different in different seasons when they're in season compared to when they're out of season. The price of foods in season versus out of season is much different as well. So taking all that into consideration, yes, the Canada's Food Guide doesn't address that from my knowledge. But it is more kind of up to us because everybody is different. So even the Canada's Food Guide is what it is a guide. It's a guide to how to eat. And it's a guide to show you that, yes, we should have variety, but everybody is different. Some people have likes and dislikes, and some people have allergies. So you kind of need to manipulate it to your own preferences, which includes the seasonal foods. So right now, pumpkins and squashes, those are in season right now. It's soup season, as some like to say, which incorporate a lot of those root vegetables. So absolutely, for me, this is a time when I eat pumpkins and butternut squash. I don't eat butternut squash really the rest of the year. It's generally during this time, and that's okay too. So even during this time though, not just eating butternut squash, still incorporating that variety as much as you can. So truthfully, doing your best is like kind of the best thing that you can do, and just think about colors. Keep it simple. Think about different colors in your diet, not just all orange foods, not just all white foods, not just all whatever foods. We want to think about different colors. And then if you are interested, there is some handouts. I think they're from the government of Ontario, I believe, that there is stuff out there that tells you which month, which foods are in season. So I did post that I have a private Facebook group, and I did post that once in there. So that information is out there. So if you are interested in being a little bit more mindful of what's in season, that exists. That there is lists out there of what foods are in season. And I had another point, which I forgot now, but yeah, otherwise, oh yes. what you can look at, for me at least, and a quick, easy way is look at the flyers of the stores. The things that are on sale are usually the things that are more in season. That could be a quick way to check.
Okay, yeah. I agree about the
Sure.
soup season part. Butternut squash soup is definitely one of my favorites. Yeah, yeah. And the last one I had,
Okay.
and this is, sorry, one quick question, Vipulji.
Yeah,
Last one
go ahead.
was on how to deal with leftovers. You know, if you have a chole and then rajma chawal and then a cauliflower bhaji, right? Like, what do I do with that? Doesn't really go well into pasta, but yeah.
Give
If
us
you
a
have
call. Give us a call.
We'll come over, no
We'll,
problem.
we'll come over and finish it for you.
Yes, that's a really good question. Actually, I didn't touch upon that. Very good point. So with leftovers, so I encourage people to make leftovers. If you're making rajma, make extra, because really it's just the soaking of the beans or washing of the beans and making a little bit extra of the masala that you might be putting in there. That's it. That's really the only difference. But it freezes really, really well. And so if you can start getting into the habit, I know for some of us in our culture, we've been taught not to have leftovers, or leftovers are not good, or freezing foods are not good. That is not true. That is really, really not true. That might have been a thought back in the day when there were no refrigerators, there were no freezers. So yes, food was probably spoiling before the next time, like in the next day. So it made you sick. So maybe that's where that thought came from. But in today's day, we have freezers and we have refrigerators that keep our food fresh for longer. So what I suggest is, yes, make a double portion of whatever it is that you're having, let it cool down, put it in the freezer for another day. So even if you do have leftovers that you know you're not going to eat, like right now I have a chickpea sweet potato curry in my fridge that I'm going to put in the freezer. It's a good enough portion that in a month or 2 weeks or whatever it may be, I can pull that out of my freezer, put it in the fridge, it will defrost, it tastes as good as it did fresh, and it's a home cooked meal. And I literally didn't do anything. I will maybe make rice to go with it. That's it. So I encourage you to make foods, make extra, helps you seriously reduce your stress and anxiety on what to make for dinner. So if it's lasagna, make double and then put that in the freezer. If you need ideas of what you can put in the freezer, certain things don't freeze well, like tomatoes and peppers. If it's in a soup or something, then it's okay. But go through the frozen section in the grocery store to give yourself ideas of what kind of foods freeze well. But generally, all of our curries freeze really good. So I encourage you to freeze them in soups, freeze them in individual baggies if you'd like to. Lay them flat in your freezer so they freeze in a proper shape and not some weird shape. And then once it's frozen, you can stand them up and line them up. So you say freezer space is like real estate. So you have to be very, very smart with how you use your freezer. But that's a great point that you brought up, that, yeah, absolutely. Leftovers make your life so much easier. So I am pro leftovers, freezing them. Awesome.
Great, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Having a pro leftover dietitian is the first
100%.
time.
Oh, yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
Vipul. Yeah.
So, yeah, sure. I have a couple more. Zero sugar drinks. Is there really such a thing, or it's just a myth?
So there's sweeteners and there's sugar. So it's kind of a little bit of a marketing technique if you don't know, but sweeteners exist in our world, and some are natural, some are synthetic, which is it gives you the flavor of it being sweet, but doesn't add to calories. So sugar and maple syrup and all the other calorie-based sweetened food items are different because they actually do contribute to calories, will contribute to a rise in blood sugar. Sweeteners give you the sweet taste, but do not increase your blood sugar. So 0-calorie drinks are using, most likely if they're sweet, are using sweeteners to give you the sweet sensation, but don't actually use any sugar per se, or alternative sugars to give you that sweetness. So yes, they exist and they're possible. They're in our world. One thing that I can say about them is that there's research to show that people who some people, I've had a client who experienced this for sure. The low-cal drinks, those zero sugar type of drinks, they trick your brain into thinking that there's supposed to be a rise in sugar. So you're tasting sweet, your brain thinks, oh, our blood sugar is going to go up, but it doesn't happen. And people find that later on or shortly after, they get a lot of sugar cravings because the brain was thinking something's wrong. Why didn't that blood sugar go up? So your body starts craving sugar and you want something actual sweeter. So sugar cravings can Not, it doesn't happen for everybody, but can be a little bit higher when you're drinking or having non-sugar, the sugar-free food items, and make that craving worse.
Yeah, because I mean, I usually, not usually, all the time, when I buy any juices, I look at the sugar content. And usually for most of the sugary drinks out there, juices, the sugar content is anywhere between 25 to 30 uh, grams, right, per can or bottle, which is pretty high. So when I buy it, it says sugar zero. The same thing for Diet Coke and things like that. But I've heard a lot of people saying that, it's actually even more. I mean, it's even worse for you. Is it true? Or I mean,
Well, so juices are a
it's
little bit different, because depending, some juices, yes, they do put in extra sugar, but other juices, if it says not from concentrate, that means that they didn't add any extra water in, and they likely didn't add any extra sugar. So when you see the sugar on the nutrition label, that means natural sugar that's naturally found. So if it's a fruit juice, the fruit from the mango, for example, the sugar that's there naturally found in the mango itself is also part of that sugar listing. And it also includes any added sugar, anything that they've put in on top of that. So that can be a little bit misleading. So you have to understand what you're kind of looking at in that way. But when it comes to pop and Cokes, for example, they don't really have that much nutritional value. So in terms of nutrition and health, you can enjoy them if you choose to have it, but keep in mind that this isn't giving me any real nutrition. So have it as a sometimes food rather than something that you're having all the time, because it's not giving you much nutrition. So in terms of making it worse for your health, I don't know the consequences of having too much Coke in your life. Zero cal, I don't really know, to be honest, but it's not giving you that added value. So I prefer people drink water. Have it sometimes. Like I have
Sure.
Coke once in a while too, but it's sometimes, it's not all the time.
Right. Yeah. Sure. I mean, it was not about the quantity of it. It's just, is it really like zero sugar? That's what I just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Now, so far, I mean, we have discussed everything for us, human beings, but I have a different question.
Okay.
It's about the pets, it's about dogs, let's say. A lot of people have actually got pets, especially last year during the pandemic, right? And they say they are stress relievers, but they also get emotional, they also get stressed. So can your dog be all vegetarian?
I don't know the answer to that question. To be honest, I don't know the answer to that question at all. I have no idea in terms of what pets need in terms of nutrition. I'm not sure. They are animals that have always been more meat-based, but I actually don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know the answer.
It's a question I hear from a lot of Indian families, especially those that are vegetarians.
Yes.
There is a great hesitation to bring non-vegetarian food items in their household to give it to their dog.
Yeah.
And there's always an argument, if I was in India, I mean, I would give him my food, they all eat all their life and nothing happens. So why can't I do it here?
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone saying that you can't do it, but again, we don't know that. Like, I don't know. I can't say, because I honestly, I don't know. My brother's a vet. I could call him and ask him to give you the answer to that question, but he would probably say that, their nutrition would be best served with a variety of different foods. So even with us being vegetarian, so to be a little bit more specific with your question earlier, with the vegetarian nutrition, B12, for example, people who are vegan, people who don't have any dairy products, no eggs in their diet, they are generally low in B12. So they need to be taking a B12 supplement. So even us as humans or vegetarian women, lower iron levels. So, and iron and B12 is found in animal products. So even us as humans being vegan, you don't always necessarily meet 100% of your nutrient needs, and we may need a supplement. So that may be fair for dogs as well who are vegetarian. Maybe they would be lower in B12 and iron, same as us. Maybe, I'm not sure. I really don't know, but that could be the case. So maybe they would require some supplementation as well.
Okay. Well, there's a Cricket World Cup going on right now, T20. So maybe we'll take it as a googly that I bold. you know. Anyway, so just two more questions. See, you already mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that you are not really a fan of diet plans and you don't really prescribe it to anyone. Although I have been to a couple of dietitians, they have given me detailed diet plans. However, I mean, I find them extremely difficult to follow. They are so detailed, you know, you have to eat this at 7, eat this at 9:30. It looks like I need to earn in 7 figures to, you know, to be able to hire somebody full time who can tell me, you know, eat this at this time, drink this at that time. So how can we make it easier and simpler for everyone to follow a diet? I mean, even if not a diet plan, to follow a diet that is good for them.
Yeah, so that's why I don't agree with diets, because they are really restrictive and very specific, and it goes against you actually listening to your own body. So for me, my job as a dietitian, for me and my clients, I want to make their life as easy as possible, as simple as possible. So making nutrition the easier choice. So teaching people how to eat. So that's where I also mentioned value added. So it's not about taking foods away and learning a whole new way of eating. It is, okay, what are you currently eating? How can we change that just a little bit to get you better nutrition? That's what I focus on with my clients, because I want it to be sustainable. You doing this and having to do all these other things, eating at this time and doing this and doing that, and making it not something that is actually realistic for you to follow, that's a red flag for me. For me, that's, I don't do that with my clients because it is really hard to do that. So for me, I work really one-on-one with my clients to help create a customized nutrition plan that fits into their lifestyle. So it's things that they can actually do. So with breakfast, for example, if someone's not eating breakfast, let's start having something. Could be toast, like just simple as popping in a toast and eating that. If someone tells me that, yes, I can do that, perfect, golden. And when they get into that and that becomes more of a habit, then we might advance. Okay, how do you feel about putting peanut butter on that toast? Do you think you can do that? Yes, I can do that. And that's why I have a coaching program, and that's why how we create sustainable results. Because yes, bombarding someone with here's a whole new list of things that you should do, that's hard. That's hard for anybody in this busy life that we live. So when you take it step by step, and when you're patient, when you're ready to get the results a little bit more slowly, and give yourself some grace and not think I need to do everything immediately, it's a lot easier to do. So even exercise, if I told you you have to run for an hour every day, you're gonna be like, oh my God, how am I gonna do that? If you're not drinking any water, and if it said drink 8 cups of water every day, you're like, oh my God, that's a lot to do. How am I gonna do that? That creates stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and sets you up for failure, which I'm not about. So I might start someone with, okay, let's do a 10-minute walk. Do you think you can do that 3 times a week? Yes, perfect, let's do that. Can you drink 2 cups of water or 1 cup of water in your day? Can you focus on doing that first? Yes, I can do that. And then advancing it. So even regardless who you're working with or whatever it may be, take it slowly, create goals for yourself, think about realistic things that actually fit into your lifestyle. And that's how you can move it forward and develop skills and build on that to get to that higher level where it's actually part of your lifestyle. So I think that that might have been something that was a hurdle for you, maybe a challenge for you, that it was just too much. But yeah, take it a little bit more slowly, and that can really help you.
Sure. And the last question, again, this is something that you already addressed in your presentation, but stress often pushes people to overeat. Last year, during the lockdown, when people could not go anywhere, you know, people were watching a lot of Netflix, a lot of Amazon. Now I am pretty sure that that amount of binge watching must have reduced because now it's not as strict a lockdown anymore. A lot of people are now working, you know, again, going back to the office also, some of them. So they may not be watching as much Netflix or Amazon as last year. But when you watch it, the binge watching is often followed by binge eating, because one episode, as soon as it's over, it automatically starts the next one, right?
Yeah.
Before you grab your remote, I mean, the next episode is
Clever.
already on.
It's very smart.
Very smart, you know. So it's sometimes, I mean, even if you make up your mind that I'm just going to watch 2, you end up watching 4, and that means you also end up eating twice. So how do you prepare your mind to not do it?
So a couple of things there. So one, you just have to be really, if you're thinking about it in terms of a screen time point of view, especially if it's before bed, you have to be strict with yourself and just turn off the TV before it even gets to the next episode. Once it starts, you're gone. But you have that 10-second window, you got to turn it off right away. And just really thinking about like making sleep a priority. If you can really say that, you know what, it's not worth it. I'll watch this episode tomorrow, but me getting better sleep is going to help me have a better day tomorrow and not be tired and be able to do all the amazing things I need to do. And recognizing that you do benefit from better sleep, that's important. Turning it off and having no screen time for a little bit before bed. So it's not just turn off the TV and go right to bed. It's having that break and dedicating that time frame away from screens before bed. That helps with better sleep. In terms of the eating aspect, though, we get hungry every 3 to 4 hours. We expect to get hungry every 3 to 4 hours. So if you've had dinner at 7 o'clock, for example, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, you are going to start to get hungry again, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And if you're still watching TV at that time, yes, you are going to start eating. Naturally, you might actually be stomach hungry and you may not be going for the best foods. So one, you can think of a healthier snack option. If you know that that's kind of your routine and habit, maybe think of a healthier snack option. Number two, maybe don't bring in chips and cookies and things into the house that you know that you're going to gravitate towards during that time. A lot of time it's a habit. You end up eating later at night because you're just a habit of associating TV with foods. So breaking that habit and being strict with yourself. The other thing is just getting to bed on time. If you were going to bed at 10 o'clock, you're going to sleep before that hunger kicks in after dinner. So that prevents you from that late night eating as well. So lots of different things to think about. But again, like being customized and just being really knowing what your priorities should be and following through with that, holding yourself accountable or having someone else hold you accountable is important to making that happen. So if it's your spouse, like be good together, like even having a plan that, during the weekday, we're not going to be watching. Maybe don't even turn on the TV. That might be even better, right? And save it for the weekend. That's when you can spend a little bit more time there. If that's what needs to happen, let's do that.
Wonderful. Okay, Tejas, any more questions? You have any more questions?
No question. I'm just happy that you gave a thumbs up to leftovers. So that's going to be my aim now.
Anytime.
Twice as much food.
You can pass on your problem to us.
Thank you, Vipul. Thank you.
So then we will complain of overeating. Anyway, so that was good, Anisha. Thank you for joining us today. It was a fantastic presentation, and I am sure the Q&A also has a lot of good information that people can use. And as usual, we will now edit the video and post it on our YouTube channel and also on our social media as well and on our website as well, right? And it will also go to at least 2,000 people on WhatsApp. So, cool. So it will be spread as much as possible. And we hope that people can benefit from this, from the advice, from the presentation as well. And so Tejas, before we go, let us just recognize the support once again from our sponsors.
Yep.
Okay, so one more time, this is the session number 10 for the Health Forum, organized by the Canada-India-USA Development Forum, a Brampton, Ontario-based not-for-profit organization. The Health Forum is supported by in part by the City of Brampton's Advanced Brampton Fund. We are thankful to our partner organizations, PCHS Foundation and Suno Canada. And the matching funding support is provided by Truly Financial, Irwin Accounting and Tech Services, Best Ayurved Limited, Process Research Ortec, Dentistry on 10, Kotak Personal Injury Law, Tangentia, Nanak Flights, Greens Life Sciences, Blue Umbrella Financial Services, and Lotus Funeral and Cremation Center, as well as Home Hotels and Resorts, which have just supported it recently. So thank you once again. Thank you, Tejas, also for coordinating the session today and for connecting us to a wonderful speaker, Anisha.
Thank you.
Right, so that brings the session to a close. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.